Hey guys, this is Gaming Centuar here. Originally I was planning on doing a review of the Centaur's Life manga around the same time the show was airing, but I decided to avoid that because there would be one topic I would focus on the most, and that would be world building. World building is one of those things that is not an easy task, and depending on the story and genre, it can be the pinnacle of the story or just simply a backdrop. I feel like the best stories, whether it be novels to video games, have to have a well-built world that will suck you right in and continues to keep that hold on you with future viewings. Again, not all stories need this well-built world, but I feel like it is necessary if you want to keep a hold of the viewer's attention. Before I want to dive into why I feel like A Centaur's Life has good world building, let me get into what different levels of built worlds I prefer to categorize them in. To help better understand, let's start off with the first factor, small and large. Small in this sense is the focus on the main cast of characters. No matter where they are, the story always focuses on them, even when given better story opportunities. Large is not focusing on the main cast of characters and jumping around to other people to have a better understanding of the world more. It's often avoided because it's the one that can become the most easily confusing without connections in some way to the main cast or characters. With that out of the way, let's begin with the simple saying, small world. This is where the main focus is on the main cast that is located in a city the majority of the time and stays on them without building the world around them, mainly because the average viewer or targeted demographic already knows about the area. Small neighborhood is the same thing, but replace it with, well, a neighborhood, and the feel that the distance of everything is relatively close together. A Western example of this is Ed and Eddie from the 1990s on Cartoon Network. The main cast is the focus, and there's a feel that everything is relatively close together thanks to similar and revisited areas. And the background characters feel more like part of the cast from how overused they are. Small planet is something like Indiana Jones. The focus is again on the main characters, and they often go around the world, with the world getting the least amount of attention and is used more for advertising the scope of the adventure. I can see some people confusing this with Small World, but I chose this because, at least in the US, the saying is described when encountering the same person in a different area or two people that you know meet each other and you're just hearing about it. And it goes higher after that. Small solar system, small galaxy, etc. Next part is the hard part for most creators and often is avoided for focusing on the main cast. Large blanks. Large neighborhoods is not focused on the main cast and is used to build up the neighborhood while several times branching a bit out to make the neighborhood seem a bit more important. Large planet is similar but focused on giving depth to each planet in the solar system. Almost like how The Martian, directed by Ridley Scott, does it, but just focusing on Mars and Earth. Large galaxy would be something like Mass Effect without the entire focus being on separate and more development for the planets, and so on. Large world is quite the same, but focusing on the development of the whole globe, whether it be the past, present, or future. Two things pop into mind with this, in my opinion. One is Game of Thrones. Yes, the twists and turns are shocking, but the focus is not mainly on the Starks, even killing the majority of them off, and focuses on the area as well as how they all connect to each other. The other one is, if not obvious by the video and the structure, is A Centaur's Life, also known as A Centaur's Worries, though a bit more fuzzy. While it focuses on the main cast some to most of the time, it also goes to different people who are not within the main cast, developing more of the world, though in some cases a more gritty and horrible world. An example is that early in the manga, but also a bit later, it says that the reason that a law is in place where you can't ride as centaurs is because they were often used as slaves for riding. Later on, cutting to either the past or more recent events of centaurs being used for something like a war. There's even an amphibian character who is clearly a higher up and is trying to make peace. A chapter focused on the mer people, one of the soldiers captured and trying to make some peace, and chapters focusing on the Antarcticans, the strict laws, all helps flesh out the world to become something much more than just a backdrop. This is but one of the reasons why A Centaur's Life is one of my favorite manga series, with the world building being the biggest part of it. I highly recommend it. Well, sort of. With the world building comes some problems. It is a slice of life series, but it can go all over the place, from action to sci-fi to fantasy to even horror. Even with the world building, it sometimes feels jarring. I would end it here, but something recently came out, and that would be the anime adaptation of A Centaur's Life, or A Centaur's Worries, depending on which name you go with, basically. In the beginning, I was worried they're going to focus a lot more on the slice of life things, because it is a slice of life but I do consider the world building to be the biggest things to why I really enjoy the manga. So, what are my thoughts on it? Well, I would say it's actually pretty good, and it feels like they decided to take nothing out, which my biggest worry was that they were going to take a lot out. From episode 1 alone, there's the placement of equality over civil rights, the fact that riding a centaur, even if one offers it to someone, is illegal, and how even talking about it is even illegal. Episode 2 seems a bit more lighthearted, and for episode 1, yep, there's a magical girl segment. I still think the anime will stick to paying attention to the cast, which is a shame but understandable. I don't think the majority of people will be okay with suddenly aliens. But the lack of world building that will be shown in the anime does sadden me, especially since I think the manga series is a very good way of showing how big the world is. If you're wondering why I didn't talk about any of the other episodes that might be out by the time this video is out, that's because I'm not really paying attention to this series anymore. Maybe it's because I'm already so deep into the manga that I don't want to watch reruns. Maybe it's because I wanted to give this a free episode test just to see if there was any indication of, world building going on at all. I don't know, I still recommend the anime series if you haven't read the manga yet, but I'm probably not going to watch the rest of the anime. Thank you for taking your time out of your busy day to watch my video and to listen to all the points I have to say. GG and see you later.